Sorry, guys. Looks like we got cut off. I'm gonna wait for Johnny to join again. Johnny's back. Johnny,
That was
we,
great
we
timing.
left off at go ahead.
Oh, no, what I was saying is that's what I'm currently doing. I'm listing the tractor trailer stuff right now, but I'm putting more of what I've known over time toward the front of that tractor trailer kind of deal. But there's more in there. I just don't know yet. I don't know what to. Well, it's questionable. Like I said, there's over 130 million different SKUs technically.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the best way to review so you remember. That's a really good question. I don't know. I just feel like I personally think the best way is to hold them in your hand. To try to, like trigger your memory. Since being in this group, my memory has gotten way better. And I don't know if that's because like I'm handling more items or listening to more people or what why, but like is that what we're talking about here? Essentially, how do you improve your memory so when you're out there processing items, you can pick more winners?
No, mine is I know some stuff and I want to add more to it kind of deal. But I need to
Hmm.
list this stuff because it sells. I know it's a fact, it's quantifiable, but I want to add more to that pile. But the only way to do that is to experiment and list this other unknown quantity stuff and figure it out as time goes on. So I'm trying to figure out like a not necessarily a number or percentage, but how much I should invest into learning that new knowledge, acquiring that new knowledge.
I think I just feel like the people that I know that are the best at sourcing don't watch bolo videos. Like people are like, oh, I like to watch what sold videos to figure out what to sell. I'm pretty sure that doesn't work compared to it works, but not as fast as being out there and looking. Um, I don't know. There was a knowledge pill we could all eat. I don't know. How do we make it easier to find the best items? Because I think about it right now. I have to go to the thrift store or I have a tractor trailer full of books. I know nothing about books. How would I turbocharge my knowledge?
I mean, how I've acquired it thus far is just, I mean, year one, list it all, see what shakes out. Okay, I buy more of this. That's seriously how I did it.
Is that how we do it? I did that method. I feel like it took me a really long time to figure it out.
It did. It took over a year. But I know more than I did a year ago. So
Oh my goodness. I feel like tech would not list it all and see what pans out. That's what I did. And I feel like it took a lot longer.
well, I would say I learned how to list better, and it's pretty much you sling it up, it'll sell eventually. But we don't want eventually, as to the point of the conversation, it's sell through rate, right?
Yeah. Well, Tech's from the beginning has said if it's not going to sell in 90 days or less, he's not going to buy it. So I've known him a long time. I've never seen him buy a tractor trailer of unknown. Um, so yeah, I'm just trying to think. So Mike is saying bolos to him are grand slams, 5 in the 50. What do you guys consider a bolo? Like what profit amount? For me, honestly, I think anything $20 and over is so mind blowing to me because they have a normal business, like a coffee shop. They sell a cup of coffee, they make $1, and that business costs $75,000 to start minimum. And you just go to Goodwill and find something for $20. How is that not a grand slam? To me, that's like crazy. But then other people are like, if it's not $100, it's not a bolo. So uh maybe I'm just easily impressed. Yeah, Mike, I don't know. A lot of people use the definition of 50 plus for bolos. Some people 100 plus. I guess there's two methods. There's the sniper model where you go figure out your niche. And for Kate, going out there, becoming an expert, finding all the amazing items versus the bulk model Johnny or me trying to get some employees and do some volume. They're just two different models. Yeah, I don't know. Spend more time. Yeah, I guess you could spend a lot of time researching, and it does help. It okay, I think we can all agree on this. You can spend a lot of time researching, but it doesn't take the place of actual experience. They both help, but experience might be better.
And Johnny, do you sell in all genres, or do you focus more on like nonfiction or fiction or fantasy or history?
Here's what I did. I watched a bunch of information and I did everything they weren't talking about. Everybody said avoid vintage paperback books, but you know what? I sell a crap ton of those. So those people were wrong. I stayed away from anything anybody was mentioning and tried listing that first. And I was pretty much accurate on that. Because it's what people weren't doing. But now I list it all because I just acquire it, because bulk buying, you just acquire it all. Either you get rid of it or you sling it up. Now, some of the newer stuff I've been listing has been selling too. It shouldn't be selling, but it is. So again, I think it may come down to how I do my listings as well, because a lot of the booksellers in the book game, they're lazy. Like stock photo, maybe 3 to 4 photos, no description of a book, don't fill out half the item specifics. I do all of this.
Yep, I've noticed that in a lot of booksellers. But I was just wondering if you like, when you get your bulk buys, do you just automatically toss the romance novels, or do you try to sell them? Do you put them together in a lot? Do you sell a lot of
I do not
lots?
do lots. I do singles because I make more money per item that way. Again, it's what people don't do. Normal people would just put those things in lots. So I separate them by genre. I separate them by author within the genre. And then that's how I do my listings, because it makes the listings go fast. Because I don't use software either. I could sling it all up software style, do like 1,000 a day, but I don't want to do that. So I feel like I'm hogging up the thing. So if you want to go on to a different topic, Chris, it's okay. I'll figure it out eventually.
Lynn said that something just sparked. Can you share? What is it that you figured out? I didn't figure out anything. I'm confused. So what is it that you figured out?
Well, it's not like life changing, but so I've been trying to figure out exactly what I wanted my business to look like, like a vision, like this is how I want to see it operate. And one of the things that I was working against, where everybody was working towards, is not having an employee. So in my background, I managed a lot of people, like 100 to 200 people. I do not want to manage anymore. So I thought eBay was a good fit for me, but in having to grow, it looked like, or it seemed to appear that I would have to hire people. Like, I don't even want to hire one person today. That might change next year. So in listening to you and Johnny and kind of going, okay, we're in the volume business, and so we have to hire people to be successful for what you do. And then in talking earlier about, finding the $30 item or sourcing more, it just clicked on me. I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I volumizing my business when what I really need to do is scale back on the volume? And yes, do exactly that. Go out, spend more time sourcing, be extra selective. I always thought I was selective, but maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not as selective in what I pick up, and not necessarily say, oh, okay, I can sell, like we talk about Old Navy, for example. Well, I can find a lot of Old Navy, and yes, it does sell well for me, but that is a volume game for me. That's a volume item. I need to pick a good average item, or I'm saying that in a general sense, so that I can manage it myself and still acquire $100,000 a year. Like, it's really that simple, because the one caveat for me is I don't want to manage anyone in the next 12 months. So that was just sort of like it just hit me like, oh, wait, here's two different business models, or three different business models. And I'm still
Yep.
trying to figure out which one I am.
Lynn, you just nailed it. The difference between being a niche seller, hunter style, going out and killing what you eat, right? Learning all the tips and tricks while you're out there in the field, in the wild, is different than bulk, which is more like being a processor. And when you're a processor, more processing power means more people, software, technology, building. It's different than being a hunter. There's plenty of bulk people who know zero about their niche. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're just versus the person that's like, this fabric $22, this one $24, this one 90, you know?
And I think it's like you don't necessarily have to think too much if you're a volumizer. If you're a volume seller, it's great. It's not a bad model, as Tech would say. It isn't. It's just that you have to put up more listing. It requires a lot more energy. So it is harder in that way, is because it's a physical tactical strategy of earning money. But if you're trying to be more of, and it's not even about higher ends. It's not about finding that $200 bolo, it's just finding what your average cost is. And Tech and I talked about this last night because I asked him this question. It's finding your average cost, your average sale, your average sold price, and going at it that way. Because if you can always find that 10 or 20, whatever your financial goal is, if you could always go out and only choose in those ranges and list every day, and do all the other things every day, then you're going to get there, and it's going to fit in your lifestyle. So thank you.
You nailed it. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was
So
a good
that just
realization.
that yes, just that you and John. So thank you, Johnny, too, because he just anyways.
No, it's a very fair point. I mean, I saw the same thing in Amazon when they raised the fees up, so the quality of goods had to change in accordance. So I could go with what's known and just source those particular items. I mean, there's enough SKUs to do so, sure. And then maybe I don't need to grow the knowledge bank kind of deal, because how much is enough, right? So it's a fair point.
I think that if I could choose one or the other, I would pick the hunter. I'm not, though. I have avoided thinking, like Lynn was saying, because you have to really think to understand a niche and understand all the nuance. So that's something that, makes me think. Do we want to focus on being an expert in our niche, or do we want to focus on processing our niche? Right? One or the other. The one that doesn't work is the solo bulk. That does not work. 100% does not work. Trying to process thousands of items by yourself. That absolutely would not work. Also does not make sense for Johnny to only bulk process $100 books. That would make 0 sense, because what are you doing? That literally would be like mining for gold. It would be like truck comes in, 3 books, everything else goes to the landfill. That would be really hard. But that's what I feel like that's what gold miners do. They just sift 14 hours a day to get 1 gram. All right, guys, appreciate everybody on today's call. We are going to go to our beginner call, which we do Monday through Friday. If you guys want to join the group, please do. If you have any questions, email me at chris@dailyrefinement.com. But just to reiterate the topic from the beginning of the call, 100K a year, live on half, you can save 30